Hello, everyone. This is Linda Ferguson,
And Karen Nelson Bell.
and thank you very much for joining us for this episode of Platinum Prime for Life, where you get helpful hints and tips, and you hear about Karen and my forage into living a Platinum Prime life, which is an awesome way to live. Okay, so today we have a really fun episode. It has to do with imagination and imagination's impact on living an amazing life. The title of our episode is Imagination Isn't Just for Kids, It's Your Anti-Aging Ally. So, Karen, when you were younger, what kind of an imagination did you have?
It was everything. I lived in the world of books and the world of music and the world of art. I was surrounded by it in my family home. And I imagined early on that I would be a writer. I imagined that I would be a singer. I could imagine myself I would sing. I remember imagining that I would be a dancer. And that didn't go so well because my parents didn't want to give me dance lessons. I remember dancing around. My parents had guests over, and I remember dancing for them. And it kind of got squashed because I accidentally kicked my father. And I kicked my father in a delicate place, and everybody laughed at me. And so that particular dream of being a dancer kind of got squashed at that point. That's so silly. But I imagined this whole big, wide, wonderful world of me delivering music and art and writing. And I just now realized that was from very early. I thought it was from when I was 12, because at 12, that's when I decided I want to be a writer. And I asked my parents for a typewriter. They said no. And I wrote my first ever uh, persuasion marketing piece and told them that I would pay them back out of my allowance if they would get me a typewriter. And they didn't respond positively to it, but for my birthday, I got a typewriter. So I guess it's just the whole thing. My whole imagination was that, and I was playing piano since the age of 2. I was playing piano, and I could imagine myself just doing that. I just, I imagined that I was going to be a happy person.
Good imagination, because that came true,
Come with
didn't it?
me, and you'll see in the world of pure imagination.
Beautiful.
How
Well,
about you?
so my childhood, I just remember being in school and having the teacher just give us random things or random instructions like, okay, I want you to build a garden out of this. And she would just have blocks, and we'd have things that we were forced to have imaginations when we were little because we didn't have the
Right.
real things. We were too little for them. So we got to play, and it was so much fun. I have
Well, that's
Do you remember that?
boy. That I just realized that's what you do when the little girls have the easy bake oven,
Yeah.
and you could imagine you were actually baking. And when you have a tea party, you imagined you were drinking tea with your friends, and that you had very happy friends drinking tea with you. Yeah, that's right. We were encouraged.
So when you're
Most of us.
little, you have a license to imagine.
Yeah.
Excuse me. It's expected
Well,
of you.
until you get to where they say, stop daydreaming,
That's right.
right, in school. In school, you're not supposed to have the daydreaming going on,
That's right.
which is where
And you get in
a lot of
trouble
it
for
was.
imagining. I know. Things
Yeah.
get a little bit more serious, but childhood is a time of imagination. Toys are geared around it. Parents really like seeing their kids doing imaginative things. It's so cute.
Yeah.
But then as we get older, it becomes a bit more frowned upon. Then you're expected to get a little more real, a little more serious, apply yourself. And imagination, when it's too unchecked, becomes uncomfortable for others. Like, why are you acting that way? Why are you saying those things? However,
Mm.
imagination is what drives creativity for an entire planet. Works of art, music. Karen is She's an accomplished musician, she's an accomplished singer, and a best-selling book writer, and if you look at her, you can just tell she has an imagination going on big time, which makes her one of my most favorite and best friends because she's delightful. Uh
Mwah!
That's right. So, today we're gonna dive into how imagination and even daydreaming can actually help you live a more energized, positive, creative, and a younger life. Younger, I love that word,
Yeah.
telling you. Okay, so let's just get what do experts say about this topic? So, Deepak Chopra, which by the way, that just reminded me of something. You know how when you don't see someone for a very long time and then suddenly you see a video of them years later and you keep imagining them as the same age as when you last saw them, or they're well known, or they're part of they've got a book cover or something. You see that picture and then you see them as they've just grown and more mature, older bodies, and it's like, what? Can't imagine you that way. So I saw something with Deepak Chopra on recently, and he looks like a very learned, very mature older gentleman now. Chevy Chase, same
Wow.
thing. He's old. We're not old. I don't know how that happened. Anyway, he's known for really sort of metaphysical things. So the mind body connection is real. If you can imagine vitality, you invite it in. And I will give links to the quotes that I'm using today, but that we probably all heard versions of that. If you can imagine it and you can do it, you can have it or some version of it. So he's saying if you imagine vitality, you invite it in. Mm. All right. And Julia Cameron is an author of The Artist's Way. Imagination is a spiritual and creative muscle. Use it or lose it. Oh man, that is so
Love it.
true. It really is true. Trying to sit and imagine something. I just did an exercise recently on imagine your perfect day from the moment you wake up till the time you go to bed. Sit and imagine that. When I was younger, it was much easier. Now that I'm more mature, it takes a little bit more for me to put that there and put it there to include all of the things I now love and cherish in my life, what the weather's like outside. And my perfect day really just includes my morning routine going flawlessly, me waking up feeling a particular way and thinking particular thoughts. But it actually took me a little bit more energy this time than it has in the past. So it is an exercise that I highly recommend you do, flexing that imagination muscle to imagine your perfect day. Just actually do it, describe it, and then write it down. And write down how you feel at the end of your perfect day. And then save that description somewhere and look at it.
As you know, Linda, I studied for a couple of years with Mark Victor Hansen and Robert G.
Mhm.
Allen, two very successful best-selling authors. Mark Victor Hansen being the co-author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul books, and Robert G. Allen being my co-author for Nothing Down for Women. He's had, I don't know, 10 bestsellers, got a brand new bestseller right now. And in the first year that I met him, he would have us do what he called a vivid vision. And we did this, and it was an exercise that he suggested that you make very tangible. You are able to describe and taste the dinner. If it's lobster with drawn butter, then make it that specific and envision it. So we got into the habit of doing the vivid vision all the time. And I don't think I don't think I had really been actively, uh, intentionally, uh, creating my imagination moments, because imagination for an artist, you're just doing it all the time anyway. But to do it very intentionally as part of how to live a better life, instead of just, well, I used imagination to create songs and books and poems and shows and things out of screenplays out of thin air. They just come, and you made them. So I didn't have them as part of, oh, that's how I can create a happy
Mm.
life. Although, of course, doing all those things did create a happy life for me. But doing it intentionally was with, I think, when Bob said we should do the vivid vision. And so I had written out, it was quite, not everybody's vivid vision was as long as mine. Was like 4 paragraphs of everything. And I would get to where I could actually say it aloud. And he said, shout it out loud. And I would go out in Vegas. There's a series of mountains to the west called Red Rock Canyon, and there's one particular mountain with a big red stripe across it, and I would call it my mountain, and I'd go out and I'd shout my vivid vision to the Red Rock Canyon, and my vivid vision came true. And then, the mantra that I say regarding my health and my fitness and my body size and all of that, um, I've been saying that out loud for 7 years, and it came about 2, 3 months ago. Everything in it, everything was full
Wow.
truth. So my imagination created the future that I wanted. It was fascinating. It was shocking when I realized that I didn't. And do I still say it? Yeah, I still do, because I don't want to lose it.
Understood.
It just reaffirms what really is, and now it really is my truth. And so that's pretty wild. But I wake up imagining, and I go to bed imagining, because it's pleasant.
Well,
It's just
listen to
pleasant.
this. So, Dr. Ellen Langer, who's a Harvard psychologist, has
Okay,
a study called Counterclockwise, which means growing younger. It
right.
showed that imagining being younger actually changed health markers for older adults. Isn't
Huh.
that crazy? So, just imagining being younger, people started to have younger health markers. Yeah. Mm.
I need to add that in, because I say I'm healthy, strong, fit, and trim with boundless energy. I need to put something in there about, and have the healthy vigor of a person age 30. I don't exactly know how I'll say it, but yes, wow, that's fantastic that you can imagine yourself younger. Woo, let's do it.
And there's
Let's do
actually
it
a
right
study
away.
that shows that it works. The more important thing, it could, because I know, frankly, everyone gets a lot of advice from people who don't live the advice that they're giving, but they're full of advice. But having an actual study that shows that it does have
Yeah.
that effect, very powerful. Uh,
Wow.
so
Wow.
you imagine yourself fit and fabulous, and you just kind of shared what that is. Are you going to create another imagination, something else that you're now creating with your imagination?
I realize that when you reach a goal, you do have to replace it with a new goal. So I reached healthy, strong, fit, and
Mhm.
trim with boundless energy, but now the goal is to be healthier, stronger, fitter, trimmer. Not that I don't need to be thinner, but with even more energy. So it would be to really, my goal for the coming year is to be more fit, because I'm pretty fit. I'm very
Yeah.
strong. I can do things that most people my age can't do. Um, but it's not enough. I wanna meet some of those markers that they say you should be able to. I can't do a pull-up. I can't do a push-up.
Okay.
I can't hang for more than about 20 seconds. Your grip strength is an indicator of age, but I can now get up and down off the floor without using my hands. So that's one of the things that I was intent upon. I can't do a plank for more than about 20 seconds. My plank is very weak, So I think, the new goal is, uh, heightened fitness. So health, healthy, strong, fit, and trim. Healthier, stronger, fitter, trimmer. Not trimmer, but but you know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah. Okay, that
Yeah.
sounds good. Um, so sometimes you are imagining something and it just feels like it's not happening. So I'm just going to share a story. After 35 years of marriage, I was divorced, right? And I will tell you, so I was older at the time, and I just thought, okay, what's going to happen? I don't know what's going to happen. I'm so used to being married. Now I'm not married. What is it called? On something or another. Not
Unconsciously, uncoupled? Consciously
uncoupled. There you
uncoupled.
go. Uncoupled. And it was a very, my imagination went south. It was not a good thing. It was a really unpleasant thing. And for literally a year, I didn't tell anyone that I was separated from my husband in the process of getting a divorce, which it wound up in the end, it was better for us both. We're still very, very good friends. There was no real drama about it. And it wound up putting us both in a place that is a better fit for us. But at the time, the imagination that I had going on was, oh my gosh, how do you do this? I don't want to do this. I don't. And so that was like using imagination in the wrong direction. So, how do you get rid of that? Because I'm not alone in that particular one. And I will tell you the punchline to all of it for me was I then turned around and I imagined exactly what I wanted in a partner. And I wound up meeting someone that, as I went down my lengthy, a very lengthy checklist, he kept checking off everything. It just was just one after another. And I thought, well, I never would have picked this person personally. He's not someone that I ever, if I just glanced at him, would have said, this is the guy for me. But I can just tell you that I imagined what I wanted. And I didn't imagine the physical side of things. What does this person look like? Is he tall, dark, and handsome? Is he blonde? Whatever. And in the end, I am so blissfully happy with my husband. It's lovely. So I used imagination to counter the bad imagination I kept imagining myself, alone forever, blah, 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 and all of the things that were not good. And I just stopped it. But what I had to do was take those moments where I really felt good, felt strong, believed in myself. And then those were the moments that I wrote things down. Or the other thing I can share, and this is actually a really good tip, if you're experiencing something that's really unpleasant, something you don't want in your life, you can put and then imagine the opposite of that. So if you're living in a place that you don't really like and you look around and you go, I just don't like the color brown. I'm going to live in a place that has no brown and it will have, you always want to put like a positive thing. Anyway, so it is a good tip because when something bad happens, it's really hard to stop imagining that and cascading down in the wrong direction. So pull out your
And
perfect day again,
yeah.
take some deep
And
breaths.
we talk a fair amount about sleep on here because you have, experience with, seeking solutions for sleep. And if you are churning something negative, it's really hard to turn that off. And the only thing that I've been able to do if I have something like that going on churning, I think of it as like replacement therapy because I replace it with something like you said, the opposite. And not necessarily the opposite, but in my imaginings, I don't just imagine healthy, young, blah blah. I also imagine, I think I would like one day to find, my companion in life, another I think I'm able to have more than one, soulmate. So I would like to have another soulmate. So sometimes I imagine how we're gonna meet. And, I have, like, I don't know, 8 different scenarios for how, my new companion and I have, come together to meet, and I also because, I my deepest dream that still a little unreal to me that it could happen, but it could happen this lifetime, is to have I have written a screenplay, and I would love to have a movie, and I'd love to get an Academy Award and have it be incredibly loved and inspiring and lift people up, and so I imagine, like, getting the award. Yeah, I think every, Grammy Award winner, every Academy Award winner, every Emmy Award winner, uh, I am an Emmy Award winner. I didn't even know we were up for an Emmy, so that was kind of wild. It was like the statewide Emmy for best TV show and it was on CBS when I did the country show. I didn't even imagine that, but I do imagine these other things like how would I accept the award? How would I meet my hubby? Just all kind of how would I what would the new house look like? What would oh, I won the lottery and we got multiple billions of dollars. What would I do first? And just like go through an exercise of what, so it could be imagining anything. It doesn't have to be, goals, financial health, relationship goals. It could just be anything. It can be anything because it's your
'Cause it's
imagination.
all yours.
It's yours.
Imagination is all yours. Well,
It doesn't cost a single thing.
yeah, this is how imagination keeps you young. So, it actually, creates mental flexibility. So sometimes, especially if you're doing a very tedious life, you do the same thing, same thing, and you don't have much imagination going on. Once you really start working that muscle to keep it going, it creates mental flexibility. It helps the brain create new neural pathways. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And it creates playfulness. And yeah, we know that. It's good for problem solving. So if you don't have any imagination, you're confronted with a problem and it seems like there's only one solution. If you use your imagination and really push the boundaries of, 15 different ways you can solve the same problem and start getting wild with it, which gets into that playful realm. But what happens is the number of solutions that you have for a single problem make the problem start to reduce down. And if you get really outrageous with it, it makes a problem sometimes seem ridiculous compared
Well,
to the rest of the world.
what you just said reminds me that you can collaborate on imagination because I've had collaborators. I've had Billy Tragus, Billy T, Jeannie Corcoran, all the people through my life that have been incredible collaborators in imagining. We would collaborate imagination stuff to create some tangible thing, either a piece of music or a play or a TV show or a children's song, whatever it was. We would just hang out and push the boundaries. Like if we were trying to think of a title for something, we'd just go silly on it. We'd go stupid. We'd use swear words or do unimaginable things that wouldn't work. But when you started imagining wild things, and just recently, I thought to myself, "Oh, I am gonna I'm gonna," because I've decided that I'm gonna wear ball caps because it keeps me from having to worry about what hairstyle looks good for an 81-year-old woman. Well, I think the ball caps are probably me because for the whole time I had the country show, I wore cowgirl hats and a ponytail, and that was for 10 years. That's all I had it because it was my brand. Well, now I'm gonna be the ball cap babe. Now I've got all my friends helping me create. Am I the ball cap babe? Am I the ball cap? Am I a ball cap beauty? Am you know all these? Am I the ball cap boss? Somebody said no. You're the ball cap boss babe. So they were like taking my creation and creating on it
Uh-huh.
themselves. Bella the ball cap was
Oh, that's
one
cute.
person.
That's actually
Isn't that cute?
no the ball cap. But I like ball
I
cap,
don't know.
babe. I think that's a good one.
But somebody said she loved the idea of me doing the ball cups, but absolutely get rid of Babe. She was adamant, do not use Babe. I
Who
don't.
is she?
I never asked her.
Who
Huh?
is she?
Well, a friend.
Don't let her rain
I
on
wrote,
your parade. If you like ball cap, babe, I like it. I think it's adorable.
well,
There you go.
well, there you go.
Yeah,
See, we
it
collaborated
just
on
cancels her
imagining.
out. There you go.
I don't know if I ever will actually, I'm doing a test, put one hat because everything that is around us right this minute
Yes.
started in somebody's imagination. This ball cap started in somebody's imagination. That that product, whatever product, that teddy bear, that's you know what his name is? His name is Bear, and he watches over me. So
Is that
somebody
creative?
thought up,
His name is Bear?
yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
I have a dog named Dog, so there you go. No.
Well, he was gifted to me and his name was already Bear, so
Okay.
I liked it. I think it's a nice name.
Yeah,
So Bear watches over,
sure.
and so somebody had Bear in their imagination before Bear ever existed in the physical universe. So imagination is essential to our future as a planet. We
Yeah.
can't go forward without imagine. Every scientist imagines, oh, I wonder what would happen if you put this substance with that substance. I wonder if that would cure cancer.
Absolutely.
Imagination is at the root of everything.
So I'm going to give some tips, imagination tips that you can try today.
Cool.
All right. So the first one is called Morning Mind Theater. And in it, you visualize a fun or empowering scene to start your day. You hosting a travel show, walking a Paris street, or speaking at an event. Morning Mind Theater. So definitely, it is a theater, but you're the star. So you put yourself there. And I think you said that's what you do when you can't sleep.
It is.
You put yourself in a trying to go back to sleep mind theater.
Yeah. I do it in the morning. I do it in the evening. Yeah.
Here's another one, and this one's actually good. So you use what if to rewire your thinking.
Yeah.
So let's just say, what if you have $100,000 a month coming into your bank account regularly without fail? What would you do?
So I have a question for you, Linda, because you're a financial
Yeah.
advisor. And by the way, I hope we'll do one thing where we interview you on that subject because every senior has issues about that subject. But do you think it's valuable to do what ifs of the bad? Like, what if everything went wrong? What if I lost the condo? What if I don't get my social security? I don't know. Is there any value in what if in contrast to the good what if? Is there any value to the negative what if? I wonder.
Of course.
In your opinion.
That it's called stress testing your life.
Ah,
So stress testing means you plan for the worst, expect the best, right? So you say,
mm,
well, what if World War III, right? What if the stock market crashes? What if I wind up and I'm not as healthy as I want to be? What if I can't climb the stairs anymore? And all those what ifs then create plan Bs. So, how do you do that? In financial lingo, when I just talked about having $100,000 come in no matter what every month, it is one of the
yeah.
things that we do is we have usually people that have substantial assets so that they can do this, but we just take part of their estate, part of their wealth, and put it in very safe, protected, creates a consistent cash flow kind of a vehicle or vehicles, multiple. There's strategies that go with it, which includes taxes and it includes a lot of different aspects of making that happen. But the person can look at a piece of paper and say, if everything goes to hell, I know I can count on this. And then, so if the stock market loses 20% in a day or a month or whatever, where people are losing, they put $1 million in and they've just lost 20% of their whole portfolio that it took them many years to create. We've whatever that protected chunk of money is still there. There's no value that's been lost. Might not have gained, but so there's that. All right. So moving on, definitely you should always have a backup plan. Plan B, plan C. And just
Okay.
know, if you have to downsize your lifestyle for whatever reason, you're not going to do your stairs anymore or whatever it is, just have that. Well, what if I need to do that? What could I do? And the older you get, the better it is to sort of have that on the horizon because, unfortunately for us, we do have a shelf life. And not all of us wind up in the healthy, vibrant, beautiful state that Karen works so hard at keeping. And many, many people do need what's called long term care, which is they need assistance just to go about their day to day living. So there are solutions for that. But moving
Yeah.
on. Okay, so we've got use what if to rewire your thinking. Now, I want to say really quick, and I don't want this to be a really long episode, so we're going to move more quickly now. But on the downside, the what if planning for, well, what if all these other things happen that aren't ideal for me? The very good thing about that is when you know you have a plan in place, it frees up so much attention.
Mm,
It's like,
mm,
I've already thought through the solution to this what if problem. So now I can just leave
mhm.
it. I got it in place and move on. All right. Imagination jar. So that's a jar where you put little slips of paper and stuff that maybe you like, or maybe you get suggestions, and then you just pluck one out. It's like a game. And for parents, you can play this with your kids too. So prompts could be something like, what would I wear if I didn't care what anyone thought? And I do that all the
Nothing.
time. Guilty.
We're
We don't really care. Yeah, that's what I feel like today. And if I could live anywhere for a month, where would it be? Ooh, if you could live anywhere for a month, Karen, where would you live?
Stockholm.
I've never been there.
I love Well, I'm one quarter Swedish, and my time I spent a year in Scandinavia, and most of it was in Sweden. And I guess if you ask me tomorrow, maybe I'm going to say Botswana because I have places all over the world that I just loved. But I would love to go back to Sweden. I love the Swedish people, and but tomorrow I might say right here. If I could live a month, I'd like to live a month just as a tourist in my own state of Florida
Mhm.
and go all over Florida. I've never been to the Everglades. I've never been to the oldest city in the United States, St. Augustine. I've never been, you know, I don't know. My answer might be different tomorrow, but for today, my answer is Stockholm.
Okay, and I'm not going to answer it. We're just going to move on here. So now, the next tip. This is tip number 4: is create creative recess. So schedule a creative recess. So that's just putting time on your calendar where you say, all right, I am going to take a creative recess and I'm going to paint, or I'm going to sing, or I'm going to dance. In other words, you're going to shift your mindset from doing the dishes, doing the laundry, whatever it is, doing work, thinking about bills, to straight up create, draw a
Okay.
picture, write a book. That, again, it puts you in a different groove altogether, and it gives you mental flexibility. Super good. Um, yeah, I need to do more of this.
I sort of I have to do that because I have to play piano every day because I have to because I'm playing now I'm playing piano for a friend of mine. We go to senior homes and play gigs, and so I have enforced
That's
creativity,
great.
and I think musicians. I think it helps musicians stay. You see a lot of musicians going on into their 90s and beyond, uh, being very happy and productive. I think it keeps us nice and young. Forced creativity.
There you go. So, and then the next tip, and it's a really important one, is be around imaginative people.
Um,
So be around little kids. is one thing, but also just have friends. Like, you're one of my most cherished friends. You're definitely creative, and you hit me with these ideas. You'll be like, "Oh, you know what I'm gonna do? Let's all do this fun and creative thing." And I'll think, "I like her. She's so much
Well,
fun."
I'll hang out with any of y'all. Just come on, hang out with Linda is equally creative. You have no idea. Just because she doesn't, her position is she is a financial advisor, consultant, coach, but she is extremely creative. I mean, how she thinks up what we're even how she thinks up what we're going to talk about today was extremely creative on her
Yeah.
part. So just hang out with us.
Hey,
That's one solution. If you're gonna hang out with creative people, hang out with us.
it's your opportunity. Once a week, you can hang out with us. So in
Right?
order to do that, you just subscribe to our channel. Let Karen know. We will definitely let you know the next time we have an episode. So with that, actually, we are going to wrap up this episode of Platinum Prime and all about imagination. And our handout for you this week is a workbook on those tips so that you can have your own and you can fill it in and again, refer back to it. So I will tell you for sure, life is going to serve up some serious stuff.
Amen.
Very, very serious. And so you need to remind yourself of what a perfect day looks like and feels like to you, and then imagine it and then live it. And with that, we're going to say, have an amazing week, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye, everybody.